Can a guy and his son-in-law that's done more than 100 flips and had 40 rental properties start a note investing empire? Stay tuned. Well, thank you so much for joining us today in the first episode of 2024. Wow. 2023 flew by and we are raring to get started with 2024. So a few things before we start with our guest today. And we do have a gentleman and his son-in-law who has certainly done that. And we'll bring them on in just a minute. But make sure and like this episode. Yep, just go ahead and hit the like button. Then make sure, and if you've not already subscribed, make sure and do that. Make that one of your goals for this year, to subscribe to the NoteSchool TV channel on YouTube. And then number 3, make sure and hit that bell notification, boom, so that you will be notified every week when 11:05 every Wednesday. That's 11:05 Central Time. Also, please keep those comments coming. Guys, make it a point this year. Make it one of your resolutions as well to make some comments when you're watching the episodes. They mean a whole lot to Eddie and I, and it lets us know what's going on in your world and in your marketplace. So with that, guys, it was an amazing year. We appreciate all of you who have hung in with us in 2023, but man, 2024 is going to be amazing. And just to prove that, we have a guest today and his son and son-in-law that were case study finalists at our NoteExpo event back in it was back in the first week of November. So, but first, let me bring on our Chief Visionary Officer and founder of NoteSchool, my friend, Mr. Eddie Speed.
Well, thank you, Joe. I really, really am so excited about this year, 2024. We really think the stars have aligned for our business. I spent some time last week with some guys that have literally billions of dollars under management, and we're all kind of reading it the same way. You've been seeing these NoteSchool TV episodes talking about the market timing and the situation. And so our guest today is a very similar story to my story, because in 1980, I also started with my father-in-law, and he got me started in the business. And this father and son-in-law team are a great story and good guys. So you guys welcome Jay Redding and Kyle Cassidy.
Hello.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Happy New Year, Eddie.
Very well.
Happy New Year to you guys.
Thank you.
So you guys are up in the North Country a little bit, but it's kind of cool here in Texas today.
You're still warmer.
Too, yep.
Yeah, you're still warmer than we are. Even on a cold day for you.
Exactly. Now, do you guys live? You guys do live in the same town?
Yeah, we're right across the hall from each other right now in the same office.
Okay, so you have your own shop, and you don't operate from home, and you've got an office.
Correct.
Yep.
And so Kyle, you're a great story because you remind me of my story.
Yeah.
Right. And it's kind of funny. We were scrambling trying to get some technology going here this morning. Kyle was bailing us out here, Jay, right?
Correct. He does that a lot for me.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. Yes,
and I had to get some younger folks on my team to come bail me out of mine, as Kyle is telling them this is what I did. So we had to laugh at ourselves. Jay, there's you on stage with us. Jay and Kyle have been finalists with the NoteSchool case study competition. And this is a picture of here at our NoteSchool appreciation event, which is our NoteSchool members. It's the day before NoteExpo. And obviously you can see, Kyle, that Jay is telling a big story, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah, he likes that.
And here's you guys here in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And you know what I like about this deal, guys, is this is just a regular deal. This is just something that literally you can do every day of the week.
It really is.
And you guys have a rental portfolio, but you guys have also had enough rentals to know that you could scale yourself far bigger with notes than you could with rentals. I think the market timing has a lot to do with that. And so, Jay, tell us a little bit about this house, sir.
Well, we came into it. Essentially, when we purchased the home, it was actually a tax lien. And the owner of the property had not paid their taxes. And in Indiana, it takes a year for the process to all take place before you can get a tax deed. So we got the tax deed, and then we did a quiet title action, all right, to essentially wipe everybody out that might have been or have any claim to the property. And the owner of the property, he basically fought that and appealed. But the bottom line is that we, after some time, we actually won. And then we went ahead and rehabbed the property. And then we marketed it.
Hold on a minute here, Jay. I want to talk about this just for a minute. People that have never done this before, and this is a method. A lot of people have owner finance properties they originally acquired via tax sale, right?
Yeah. Correct.
So I'm going to kind of simplify a quiet title suit. Okay.
Sure.
There is state statutes that say what you're supposed to do in order to buy a tax lien and essentially seize the property, right?
Correct.
But a safety measure in that, some states require it, some states don't actually require it, is then you go to the court and you say, Judge, I want you to hit the gavel. I want you to say, we own this property, right? Because when you do that, nobody can really object to it, right?
That is correct. It extinguishes the possibility. They have an opportunity to put a claim on the property, and if they don't come forward after appropriate marketing or exposure, which is all laid out in state statute what has to happen, then it's forever extinguished, and they can never put another claim on the property.
And guys, here's how I look at it. We've done a lot of math this year. The terms of this loan are not elaborate. They're just a perfect example of you seller financed it and you literally have no expenses against it.
Virtually none.
Right, Kyle? You don't pay the taxes. You don't pay the insurance.
Nope.
Right. And so the cool thing about this is that income that note produces becomes 100% your income.
Yep.
And people want to know, well, how can I scale my business more with notes than with rentals? The answer is you're the bank and not a landlord. Right? So you guys did a great job fixing it up. And I know we've got some kind of deal points. You bought it in a tax sale. You rehabbed it. What did you guys spend rehabbing it?
$35,000, I believe. Is that about right, Kyle?
Right around 35.
I know the numbers come up here, so I don't have them off the top of my head.
That's okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then you marketed it, and you marketed it specifically targeting to a seller finance buyer. And a lot of people, guys, get confused by that, right? Because we have some very specific things we've learned about marketing to a seller finance buyer.
Yes, I followed your teaching here on this, and how I primarily marketed was that private financing available to qualified buyer with large down. That was
Hold on a minute.
exact. Yeah.
That's way different than how most people offer seller financing.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes.
Say it again, Jay.
Private financing available to qualified buyer with large down.
Right. Why don't we say seller financing?
Nobody knows what that means.
Well, if they know what it means, in their mind, it means non-qualifying mortgage.
Correct.
Right. So you get a lot of phone calls, Kyle, of people you don't want to fool with, right?
Yep.
Because
a lot of chaff.
They say, well, seller financing, that means they'll finance, they'll sell, a guy has terrible credit, they'll sell to him. No. Private financing in the buyer's mind, not in the seller's mind. You guys know the difference. You are doing private financing. That's what seller financing is.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. Private financing to deserving buyers with large down.
Yes.
So how many phone calls would you say you guys got on this deal?
We got a fair number, nothing like what when we post up something as a rental. But the first question always comes is that, how much is a large down? Or they'll tell you how much they have to put down.
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah, and we have made it a house rule, all right, or company rule, that we will not work with anyone unless they have a minimum of at least 10% down. And quite honestly, most of the time we're around 15 to 18% to 20% that our buyers actually are putting down, which is phenomenal.
Two things I learned, fellas. Two things I learned, right? I've helped people generate well over 50, 60,000 notes, right? Two lessons I learned. Marketing has all to do with who responds to your marketing, right? And we learned that private financing versus seller financing pulled a much tighter audience. We didn't lose any of the good people, but we lost a lot of the bad people, right? The second thing we learned is that most people have more down payment if you'll market in a way that says, I'm looking for that. And so then people will tell me all the time, I can get 8,000 down on a $200,000 property, or I can get whatever. And I'm like, you've never really tried it using the best methods. And you describe that, right?
Yep.
The other thing that we did, we put a rate and term sheet together. Whatever someone would say that they have to bring to the table, as long as it was over 10%, we would let them know a larger down means a lower interest rate. And although they may tell you, say they only have 10%, many times when they start seeing the rate reduction, they can find a little bit more to put as a down payment.
You sorted through the best pile of buyers, right, Kyle?
Yeah.
Yes.
Very much.
All right. So the next thing is, a lot of people worry about this, well, who is it that needs seller financing? Now, I'm not saying exclusively that this buyer is our buyer, but this is a great buyer. My life experience.
Right? It is.
So this basically means, guys, that they're a green card holder. For those of you that don't know the ITIN, that means they're legally here. They have a green card. They're not an American citizen.
Correct.
Right. And they had no credit. Right.
That is correct.
And sometimes
they did have.
Go ahead, Kyle.
I'm sorry. They did have rental history, though.
Yes.
Which we got a hold of, which was a big selling point for us too.
Yes.
And also sometimes if you feel like you need to, you can go get, like, who else do you make payments to?
Correct.
You can go establish a credit file, even though technically you can't pull a credit report on them.
Correct.
Right.
Now,
and that is what essentially we did with them. All right. Yeah. They had a 2-year rental history that was rock solid, never late. It was signed off by their landlord. And then we did a few other things. I mean, when we went through the underwriting process, their debt to income ratio was only like 26%. They're an excellent borrower.
I know that customer really well.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the RMLO for a minute. What does that mean?
Residential mortgage loan originator.
So you don't have a license to originate loans.
Nope.
So you're going to hire out the license, just like hiring a CPA or hiring out a lawyer.
Correct.
Yep.
We just coordinate it. We just move the pieces of the puzzle. We coordinate together and let the people who have the skills and the expertise do their thing.
So guys, what I wanted to do today is, we're talking about you guys are very structured, right? You guys are systematically creating a portfolio. You're not accidentally creating a portfolio. You're creating a portfolio knowing that you're creating loans with a predictable performance statistic, right?
Correct.
And knowing you guys personally, there's no shocker there, right? You're not accidental guys. Right? But once again, you're just sort of showing the audience today, this isn't brain surgery.
No, I mean, it is consistent and predictable, and you get to a point where you almost can do a cookie cutter approach, just taking people through the process, and what comes out at the end is your buyer.
And it doesn't matter whether our Note School members, Jay and Kyle, it doesn't matter whether they're Mike Powell and they do 300 deals a year, or it doesn't matter if there's somebody else and they do 3 deals a year. You can follow a formula.
Yes.
Right.
And that's exactly what we've done. We have followed the Note School formula that you have taught us. There's no question about that.
And by the way, just to go back in the history a little bit, when these guys came to Note School and joined, they were not rookie real estate investors by any means.
No.
Right? You guys had a rental portfolio. You were doing some flipping. You were doing other things, but you became very focused on the smartest way to gain long-term wealth, I think.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
We were doing land contracts or very small lease options, I would say.
Lease options. Short-term lease options.
Yeah. And when we stumbled upon this and realized the potential of the notes, it smoothed right into our process very well. So
listen, I'm not saying there's not a place for lease options. Lease options are not a replacement for seller financing. A lot of problems with lease options is people give you some money down, and at the end of 3 years, they can't go execute and go pay cash for the house. Right.
Well, and that was the problem that we ran into, and we had adjusted to where they had to be within 24 months of being able to be bank financeable. And we actually checked with whoever they were working with to see if they could meet that.
But then you give up your income.
That's right. That's the thing. So when we saw the notes, we can still get this all the way. Oh, this is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a lot of people that convert lease options. As you know, Jay and Kyle, we have a lot of people that convert lease options. We have a lot of people that convert rentals. So it's not that those were bad strategies. It's just in the market conditions it become better. So we spent a lot of time on this slide today kind of talking about the formula, because we don't always talk about this on Note School TV. And these guys that you see come on Note School TV, they're all, wouldn't you agree, Jay? They're all pretty much doing the same thing.
Yes.
They're following this formula. So thanks for sharing that. And you had multiple offers with 20,000+ down.
Yeah, we had like four people who had 3 or 4 who had 20+, one who had 40, and then we ended up settling with a couple that put 35 down.
All right, so you paid 35, and then you had rehab costs, so you had about 60,000 in this deal.
Yeah.
Okay, now listen, compared to what it's worth on the backside, you had a lot of equity.
Yep.
And a lot of people say, well, how's the best way to get my equity? I believe if you have a lot of equity in your property, when you own or finance it, you get to earn interest on your equity, not just cash for your equity. Does that make sense?
Yep. Well, and this I actually did in my self-directed IRA. And so I wanted the cash flow coming in. I could have done the equity, but with the 35,000 that came back to me with the down payment, I'll share a little bit later on what we did with that.
Listen, guys, you get your equity back, and now you got to go reinvest it. In this case, you get your equity back with a note, and it's already invested.
Yep.
Right? So you seller financed it, the deal points, as you said, you sold it for 149,000. So you had quite a profit in this deal.
Yes.
Right? You had 60 in it. You sold it for 150, legitimate value. You got a great down payment. So I'm going to give you a big check for the down payment amount. And now you got a note receivable, and it's 114,900. And by the way, a lot of people think you always have to get some gigantic interest rate. And in today's market, Jay, you probably would get a little higher rate than this.
Yes, at the time when we did this deal, which was amazingly, it was the beginning and tail end of October, first part of November of last year. Yeah. Well, the rates were at 5 at that point, 5.5. So we were 2 points above what prime was pretty much at that point. That just shows how much has transacted here in the last 12 months as far as the market's concerned.
Right. So you sold it, you still got way below market rates, and you created a note. And this is your note. Now, the cool thing about this is this creates long-term income.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And if you look at this cash flow, guys, this cash flow goes on literally for 30 years at about $800 a month. Right?
Yep.
That's how you not only earn a great return on your investment, but you also are earning interest on your equity. And otherwise, people just take cash for their equity, and then they got to go find something else. And they're not likely to find a rental that's going to produce big cash flow today. Right, guys?
Yep.
Little more challenging in the environment we're in now than it used to be. Let's put it that way.
Exactly. All right, so I'm going to go back to this sheet here in a minute, just so you know this. I'm going to go back to it in a minute because we're going to talk about like what could you do, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So here's the math. You guys are going to earn over time $285,000 in payments. So you're taking a little deal that you had 60 grand in, and it's going to pay you back 260,000 in profit.
Yep.
Right now, the deal keeps going because you had a lot of options of what you could do with it. Now, the option we're going to talk about today is that you could sell a partial against that note. So I'm going to go back a little bit because I'm going to kind of get the audience kind of a feeling like they're sort of leaned over the shoulder looking at my computer screen. Now, Kyle,
Sure.
you know why I needed that computer screen so much.
I do.
Right? Because I already knew what I was going to do with it, right?
Sure.
All right, so look, I'm gonna erase this. Now, look, guys, remember the deal, right? They own 30 years of payments, but they come in there and sell a partial. And let's just say that you sell 5 years. And have you sold a partial, Kyle? I mean, Jay?
We did not sell a partial on this.
Not on this. No.
Yeah, on this one.
But the plan is to do that.
No, actually, what we ended up doing is that the 35,000. This was in my traditional IRA, and I had another 30,000 in at that time. I had another 35 or so in my Roth. I rolled the 35 from my traditional over to my Roth. Took the tax hit on the seed money, and I combined that with the other money I had in my Roth and purchased a done for you deal partial that yielded us 12.05% on top of that.
Wow. All right, so here's 5 years. I'm just showing people what their options are. Okay. There's 5 years of payments, and you easily could have come in here in 5 years and sold that 5 years of cash flow, Jay, and you easily could have gotten literally about $60,000.
Yep.
So you could have gotten your money back, but then you would have had all of these payments, right? All of these payments over here would have become your income. I'm going to make sure I get the right highlighter here where it doesn't mess it up. This could have become future income that's just profit after you gotten all your money back. And then you could have taken your retirement account and reseeded it and done it again.
Yep.
Right? Now, that was an option of what you could do. That shows people when we say financial modeling, that's financial modeling.
Yes.
Right? The blue is what you sold. The yellow is what you kept. Right? That was an option that you had, which you've done that before.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So go back, Jay. I'm gonna clean the slate. All right, I'm gonna pull the eraser off. That's not what you did.
Nope.
That was an option, but
It
you
was.
said nope. I got a better strategy here. And what did you do?
All right. So the strategy was with the 35,000 that I had as the down payment. I rolled that from my traditional. This deal was in my traditional IRA, self-directed IRA. So I rolled that 35 from the traditional over to the Roth. I'll pay tax on that, and that's fine. I'll do that through just other cash flow, our monthly cash flow personally. And I combined that with another 30,000 that I had in my Roth that was liquid at that moment in time, and purchased a partial that yielded. It was a 96-month partial that yields me 12.09% interest.
So you moved it to a Roth, and you had to pay tax on it.
Yes.
Okay.
I'd rather pay the tax on the seed money and take all the growth and not have to take tax on the outside.
So
when we
you took
exit.
$35,000, which is the down payment money you received in this deal.
Correct.
You combined it with some more IRA money that you had.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then you said, okay, I'm gonna reestablish, and it's not gonna be a traditional IRA anymore. It's gonna be a Roth. So you had to, you were forced to pay some taxes. Call it $10,000, $12,000, right?
Yeah.
Then you took that money and then you bought another asset, which NoteSchool's sister company helped you find, right?
Correct.
Then we helped you find a partial that you're earning like a 12% return on. Now you're getting, wait a minute, how much cash flow are you getting on that investment?
$1,018 a month.
For how long?
96 months.
Okay, so for the first 8 years, I want to make sure I'm saying this right. For the first 8 years, you're now collecting
$1,800 a month.
You're collecting this amount of money plus this amount of money. And then it just goes back just to where you're just collecting this part.
Correct. And if I wanted, I could do it again. You know, the only challenge in rolling it over from the traditional to the Roth is that you need to pay the tax, and I only want to pay so much tax at one point at a time. I certainly could do the partial method on later on down the road and roll more over into the Roth at that time if I so choose.
So do you guys see what we're saying? Like there's like he's got really 2 IRA accounts. One of them, this was a traditional IRA, and that money is taxable when he takes it out. Okay, this is taxable when you take it out. It's not taxable today. It's when you take it out.
Correct.
This $1,800 a month, because that came from this investment here. It's never taxable.
That's correct.
And so you're right. You could keep rolling it and doing it. So we showed you guys 2 kind of NoteSchool strategies. You could have just gotten all your money back and gone and played again and then had a huge residual income in this note. Or you could have taken your down payment from this deal, just the down payment, and added a little more money to it. And now all of a sudden you've got 2 note receivables coming in. And some people think, well, man, if I could have $1,800 a month, that might put me 20% to what I would need to retire with. 2 deals, 2 deals,
2 deals.
That means if that put me 20% away from where I'm meet, are you saying 10 deals possibly could put somebody where that needed to be?
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Kyle,
Get the right notes. You get the right notes. Absolutely.
Kyle, here's what I'm going to say to you. My father-in-law's vision of this, when he understood this, when I was 20 years old, meant that it's something he wanted me to learn, right? Because he understood as a younger man how powerful this was, right?
Yep.
Your father-in-law saw this, and you were a successful business person and doing other things. And it's not that you couldn't be vastly successful doing other things, but when he got a vision of this, he said, it's great for me to do it, but oh my God, for my younger family.
Oh my gosh, for down the road. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I have to give Kyle credit. He's the one that saw this first. Okay. I was still the old.
That.
Yeah, I was the old stick in the mud with rentals and flips, man. All right. And he says, I don't want to do that for the rest of my life. And I don't know why, but I mean, he says, I'm liking the notes. And I said, well, let's take a look at it.
I saw what Jay has been doing with the lease options, with even selling some of the rentals, doing creative financing, and I was like, this is a perfect fit for what we're already doing, and that just goes to show
it has been.
It
really has been.
For you guys listening today, we've shown you a couple of strategies that Kyle and Jay at this point with NoteSchool, they own this. We beat this up on Deal Labs all the time. We discuss options. We've done all that with these guys a lot. That's why we got to know each other so well. But the reality is, Kyle, you're right. And it's the same vision, I think, for all of us older guys have for our families.
Sure.
It's financial modeling is so good because it makes such great utilization of what you're going to do with the money. Right. I mean, it's the theory that, you know, you can fill a glass full of sand and then try to put the rocks in it and it'll never fit. You can put the rocks in the jar first and pour the sand around it and they'll all fit. Right. It's crazy as it is. That's what financial modeling really is. And whatever strategy, and there's probably 6 other things you could have done with this deal.
Correct. There were more.
But the reality is a lot of people in our audience have rentals. They've tried flipping. They've done other things. Guess what? They probably figured out, Kyle. It's a lot of work, and you don't get paid that much for it today, right? So you guys are a treasure to be around. You bless our Note School audience on a regular basis. Thank you for that. I'm so glad that you're in Note School. I'm so glad that you guys had the vision. You guys have been on stage for every different note scenario known to man because you're now veterans with us. But this was it's a simple deal, but it's a smart deal.
It's one that pays us. You know, I like doing deals that pays us over and over and over again. I like doing it once and being done. All right. And this one clearly does that. And they have paid perfectly. All right. So, and Eddie, I just want to thank you for all the teaching that you do. Man, that's a lot of work. I understand that. But I'll tell you, you are clearly changing people's lives. And if you're out here wondering whether this is something you need to be a part of, we can wholeheartedly attest to the training and teaching that's taking place within Note School, because that's all we've done. We've just followed exactly the teachings, all right, of what Eddie and his team has taught. And I'm on the webinars religiously. All right. So, because I'm still learning every day. So thank you.
It's listen, we did all this to figure out how to do business with our students. We did all this to figure out how we can go take some experience and pass it along. And, you know, Kyle, you know, like my vision down the road somewhere is that as your kids become appropriate age, then all of a sudden you start showing them the same thing. Because we don't learn this in school, right?
No, not at all.
Well, the last thing I'm gonna talk about before we leave is market timing. And you guys have lived through the cycle with us. You started with us before the virus.
Yeah.
And you've seen all this craziness. And you've seen now all of a sudden this note inventory that probably is 8 times what it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And so the timing, we've entered a note cycle. The timing for notes is now.
Yeah. We're really excited for 2024 coming. We've been positioning, getting ourselves in a position to be able to do a lot more things, and we're excited.
Yeah,
very much so.
All right, Mr. Varnador, we're going to hand it back to you. Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year to you too.
Happy New Year.
We are so honored to have you and appreciate your being here. Joe, I'll let you hand it back to us. Tell anybody that might be interested in going down the path that Kyle and Jay have gone down, some information about how we might give them just some free information to get started. So, Joe, I'll let you take that.
Thank you so much, Eddie. And I want to thank Jay Redding and Kyle Cassidy for being with us today. These guys are both examples, well, great examples of what our Note School ecosystem, our Note School family, what our Note School folks look like. And they're out there doing it every day and changing the lives of not only their lives, but of other families in their area. So thanks for you guys for starting us out with a bang this year. And if you'd like to know more about what we do at Note School, simply go to noteschool.com/TV. Again, noteschool.com/TV. And hey guys, We'd love to have you attend one of our 2-hour masterclass done only by Mr. Eddie Speed, but also Mr. Max Keller, who is our chief market officer. So we'd love to have you attend those. Eddie has made it so that everybody can afford it. It's on us, guys. So just go again to noteschool.com/TV. Let us know that you would like to attend one of our 2-hour masterclasses, and we will get you in there. And I hope to see you at one of our 3-day classes this year as well. Thanks so much, and we will see you next episode next week. Have a good week.